You know, there's something gloriously absurd about the way we treat failure, as if it were a scarlet letter branded on the soul, a permanent stain that whispers, "You're not enough." We tiptoe around it in polite conversation, bury it in resumes, drown it in positive affirmations. And when it finally catches us, and it always does, we collapse into shame, blame, or frantic cover-ups. We say, "Learn from your mistakes," with the same tone we use for "eat your vegetables," as though failure were a bitter pill to swallow on the way to success. But here's the uproarious, life-altering secret. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the soil in which success grows. It's the compost, the manure, the rich, stinky mess that feeds every oak, every rose, every human triumph worth celebrating. Without failure, there is no story, no growth, no laughter, no you. Let me take you to a garage in Palo Alto, 1976. A lanky kid named Steve is hunched over a circuit board, wires everywhere, smoke curling from a blown capacitor. His partner, Woz, groans. "It's dead, man. We're done." They've poured every dime, every night, every dream into this contraption that was supposed to be the future. Investors have laughed them out of rooms. Banks have slammed doors. And now the prototype is literally on fire. Steve could have quit. He could have slunk back to college, gotten a safe job, told himself, "Well, I tried." Instead, he laughed, grabbed a fire extinguisher, and said, "Okay, version 2 starts now." That smoking mess became the Apple I. The garage became a legend. But the legend wasn't born in triumph. It was born in the ashes of 1,000 tiny failures. Now, let's meet Priya, a violinist in Mumbai. At 16, she auditioned for the city's top orchestra. She practiced until her fingers bled, memorized every note, wore her best sari. The day came, she walked on stage, bowed trembling, and halfway through the concerto, her mind went blank. Not a stumble, a full blackout. The silence was deafening. She stood frozen while the judges scribbled, the audience shifted. Her mother in the front row closed her eyes in prayer. Priya ran off stage in tears, convinced her life was over. "I'm a fraud," she sobbed. "I'll never play again." But her teacher, an old woman with hands like twisted roots, sat her down and said, "Child, the music didn't stop. You stopped. The failure is not the missed note. It's quitting the song." Priya returned the next year, same piece. This time, when the memory slipped, she improvised, turned the silence into a haunting pause that brought the room to tears. She didn't just get in, she became first chair. The blackout became her signature. We've been taught to fear failure like a monster under the bed, but the monster is a teddy bear in disguise. Every great love story has a chapter where someone got ghosted, stood up, or said the wrong thing. Every breakthrough has a lab full of exploded beakers. Every masterpiece has a trash bin overflowing with crumpled drafts. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter was rejected by 12 publishers. She papered her wall with the rejection letters and kept writing. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lacking imagination. Beethoven's music teacher called him hopeless as a composer. The Beatles were told guitar groups are on the way out. Failure didn't stop them, it seasoned them. I once knew a chef named Marco in Naples. His restaurant was a hole in the wall, tables wobbly, menu handwritten. He dreamed of a Michelin star. For years, critics came, ate, left unimpressed. "Too salty," one wrote. "Unrefined," said another. Marco could have doubled down on perfection, fired staff, chased trends. Instead, he closed for a month, traveled Campania on a Vespa, ate at grandmother's kitchens, burned sauces, overcooked pasta, laughed with fishermen at dawn. When he reopened, the menu was simpler. 5 dishes, each a love letter to failure. The risotto was creamy because he'd once scorched it and learned patience. The fish was perfect because he'd undercooked it 100 times and learned fire. Critics returned. This time, they wept. The star came. But Marco hung the old scathing reviews next to it. "These," he said, "are my recipes." You see, failure is feedback wearing a scary mask. It's the universe's way of saying, "Not this way, darling, this way." It's a sculptor's chisel, chipping away what isn't you. But we treat it like a guillotine. Children are natural scientists of failure. They fall 1,000 times, learning to walk, babble nonsense, learning to talk, draw crooked houses and call them masterpieces. Somewhere along the line, we unlearn this. Schools grade failure as punishment. Parents hush it as shame. Bosses fire it as incompetence. So we hide it, fake it, numb it with Netflix and wine. But the body keeps the score. The heart knows. Every suppressed failure is a seed unplanted, a song unsung. Let me tell you about a climber named Alex. He aimed for Everest, trained for years. On summit day, a storm hit. Frostbite took 3 toes. He turned back 200 meters from the top. The world called it tragedy. Sponsors dropped him. Headlines screamed failure. Alex came home, stared at his bandaged feet, and did something radical. He threw a party, invited everyone, friends, rivals, the Sherpas who carried him down. Toasted with Raksi. To the mountain, he said, for teaching me humility. Then he started a foundation for amputee climbers. 10 years later, he summited again on prosthetics he helped design. The toes he lost became the reason others walked. Failure wasn't the end, it was the pivot. In Japanese culture, there's wabi-sabi beauty in the imperfect, the impermanent, the incomplete. A cracked teacup is more precious for its flaw. A bonsai is stunning because it's stunted. Failure is wabi-sabi in motion. It's the crack where the light gets in, as Leonard Cohen sang. But we live in Photoshop culture, where flaws are airbrushed, failures filtered, lives curated into highlight reels. We compare our blooper reel to everyone else's movie trailer and wonder why we feel like frauds. The truth? Everyone's failing, constantly. The difference is who admits it, learns from it, laughs at it. Try this. Next time you fail, burn the dinner, bomb the presentation, say the wrong thing in love, don't flinch, celebrate. Throw a failure fiesta. Write the mistake in big letters on a poster. I forgot the anniversary. I lost the client. Then list 3 things it taught you. Dance to it. Eat cake. Invite friends to share their own flops. Turn the wound into a party favor. Sound silly? Good. Silliness is the antidote to shame. I'll leave you with a story from a prison in South Africa. A man named Thabo had been inside for 20 years. Armed robbery. A life derailed. In the yard, he started a garden. Tiny plot, bad soil, stolen seeds. Everything failed. Drought, pests, guards trampling the beds. But Thabo kept planting. One day, a single tomato grew red, ridiculous, perfect. He picked it, walked to the oldest inmate, a murderer with no family, and said, "This is for you." The man cried. The garden grew. Men who'd forgotten hope tended it, failed at it, laughed at it. When Thabo was released, the warden said, "You didn't just grow tomatoes, you grew men." Failure was the seed. Love was the fruit. So let failure be your teacher, your lover, your comedian. Date it, dance with it, let it undress your illusions. The greatest lives aren't the ones without failure. They're the ones that failed spectacularly, learned voraciously, and kept going with a grin. As Samuel Beckett wrote, try again, fail better. Not to reach some polished perfection, but to live fully, messily, gloriously human. The fall is not the opposite of the rise. It's the beginning of the flight,